Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So, if you've been living under a rock for the past year and a half, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 finally hit PC just a few weeks ago. And honestly, it's a massive moment for gaming. Now, I know a lot of you have already played this on PS5, but stick around because I'm going to talk about not just the game itself, but what's happened since launch, the PC port, and yeah, some pretty disappointing news about the future of this game that you probably need to hear. But first, let me say this. This game is genuinely brilliant. It's the kind of superhero game that actually makes you feel like Spider-Man, and that's not something you can just brush aside. So let's get into it. All right, let's start with the most important thing, the feel of it all. And I'm not just talking about flashy graphics or something. Insomniac absolutely nailed the core mechanics of being Spider-Man. The web swinging, it's incredible. Like, I'm not exaggerating when I say they basically set the gold standard here. Every swing feels organic, the momentum feels right, and when you're flying through Manhattan, there's this sense of freedom that just clicks. But here's where it gets interesting. They added something called web wings, and before you roll your eyes thinking, oh, another mobility creep, hear me out. Web wings are actually a game changer. You can literally glide across the city, and the second you launch off a building, it gives you this incredible sense of speed and control that makes traversal feel like an absolute joy. Some games make you unlock this stuff as an end game reward, but Spider-Man 2, they give it to you almost immediately. It's like Insomniac understood that fast travel and movement aren't something you gate behind hours of grind. They're fundamental to the fantasy. And speaking of expansion, the map is basically doubled from the first game. They've added new boroughs to explore, and while the base game already had an impressive open world, this time around, it actually feels like there's more to do than just collect flags on a map. The world itself is more dense, more alive. Now, let's talk about the gameplay mechanics that actually matter. Combat's been significantly expanded from the previous games. Both Peter Parker and Miles Morales are playable, and here's the thing. They don't just feel like reskins of each other. They genuinely play differently. Peter moves with confidence and precision, like he's been doing this forever. Miles feels looser, more energetic, like he's still figuring himself out. It's the kind of attention to detail that shows Insomniac actually cares about the character development. Peter gets access to the symbiote suit, which gives him a whole new arsenal of abilities. Miles, on the other hand, gets upgraded Venom powers that feel distinct and powerful. You've also got new gadgets, web-based tools that you unlock as you progress, and the progression system actually feels satisfying because you're not just getting numbers to go up, you're genuinely getting cooler. Okay, so the story. This is actually what separates Spider-Man 2 from being just a fun, open-world game to something that people will actually remember. The narrative is genuinely solid. You've got iconic villains like Venom and Kraven in the mix, and without spoiling anything major, the game explores some really interesting thematic elements about power, corruption, and what it means to be a hero. The dual protagonist angle could have been a gimmick, honestly. In a lot of games, playing as two characters feels forced, like the developers are trying to stretch out playtime. But Spider-Man 2 actually uses it to explore different perspectives. You get Peter's more mature, seasoned take on heroism, and then you flip over to Miles, who's still learning, still figuring out his identity. These aren't just mechanical differences, they inform the story in meaningful ways. The supporting cast is solid too. You've got the usual suspects coming back, MJ, Genki, Aunt May, but the writing for these characters is genuinely good. There are moments that actually hit emotionally, and I think a lot of people slept on how well this game balances its superhero spectacle with quieter, character-driven moments. And the villains, they're actually threatening. Venom in particular is portrayed in a way that feels genuinely menacing. The final act of this game builds to something that feels epic without sacrificing character development.
So here's where I need to be honest with you guys. The PS5 version of Spider-Man 2 is phenomenal. It's technically impressive, the load times are basically non-existent thanks to the PS5's SSD, and it runs beautifully. But then, the PC port. It's complicated. Don't get me wrong, the PC version is the same game you know and love. It's got enhanced ray tracing options, it supports higher frame rates, and if you've got a beefy rig, it can look absolutely stunning. But here's the thing. The port was developed by Nix's software, and reviews have mentioned that it launched in a disappointingly shaky state. There are performance issues, optimization problems, and it's not the flawless experience you might have gotten on PS5. The good news? It came with a ton of content that's been added since the original PS5 launch. We're talking 12 new suits, new Game Plus mode, ultimate difficulty levels, new symbiote suit styles, time of day options, post-game achievements, action figure mode in photo mode, screen reader support, and audio descriptions. So if you're jumping in on PC for the first time, you're actually getting a more complete package than launch PS5 players had. That said, if you're a PC gamer, I'd recommend waiting for some patches and optimization improvements before dropping the money. The game is great, but right now, it's not optimized the way it should be.
Alright, so this is important. Over the past year since launch, Insomniac has been pretty consistent with updates. We've gotten bug fixes, which is expected, but also a legitimate amount of new cosmetic content. We're talking new suits regularly, color variants, photo mode features. Basically, if you're the type of player who cares about cosmetics and collectibles, there's been a steady stream of that stuff. The new Game Plus mode that dropped in March 2024 was a big one. It lets you replay the story with all your upgrades, adjusted difficulty, and new unlocks, which is great for people who want to experience the narrative again without starting from absolute scratch. But here's the thing everyone's been talking about. There's no planned story DLC. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, cool. So no Kraven spin-off? No Venom storyline continuation? Yeah, basically. Insomniac made it pretty clear that story DLC isn't happening. Now, there's been a ton of data mining over the past few months that suggests there were plans for DLC at some point. People found voice lines from Miles mentioning things like a rogue AI and robot factories, which led to speculation about a Beetle DLC that would have had a robot theme and potentially continued the Carnage storyline. But for whatever reason, and there's speculation about everything from the cyber attack to resource allocation, none of that materialized. So what you're getting with Spider-Man 2 in 2025 is basically the complete package, but it's final. There's no, wait, they're adding more story next year to look forward to. That's honestly a bit of a letdown for people who are hoping for Carnage resolution or more Spider-Verse crossover content.
Let me put this in perspective for you. If you've never played Spider-Man 2, 2025 is actually a great time to jump in. The game is fully patched, you've got all the cosmetic content Insomniac has released, and it's arguably more feature-rich than it was at launch. Plus, if you're on PC, you can potentially get it running at higher frame rates and resolutions than the PS5 version, if the performance issues get sorted. The campaign length is solid. You're looking at a substantial story that doesn't feel bloated, but also doesn't feel like it's rushing to the finish line. Side missions are varied enough that they don't feel like complete busy work, and collectibles actually feel worth hunting down because, let's be real, if you're going to spend time in this world, you might as well grab all the Spider-Man suits and see the Easter eggs Insomniac hid. The city exploration is genuinely fun. I know I said the map is doubled in size, but it doesn't feel empty. There are enough landmarks, enough detail that swinging through Manhattan actually feels like you're discovering things rather than just traversing empty space. And look, if you're someone who has already finished this on PS5, should you replay it? That depends. If you want to experience the story again with all the new suits and updates, New Game Plus is there. If you want to experience it on PC with potentially better graphics, that's an option too. But I'd wait for performance patches. If you're looking for new story content, yeah, you're going to be disappointed. But here's what I will say. Spider-Man 2 is still one of the best superhero games ever made. The story's compelling, the mechanics are tight, and the moment-to-moment gameplay of being Spider-Man is it's unmatched right now. There's not really another game that captures this fantasy as well as this does.